Hello, and welcome to another Saturday food support group. We have these Zoom meetings every Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. And I just invite people to come and to share their stories because I've had so many people reach out to me in private messages and tell me their stories. And I just couldn't keep it for myself. I had to share with you all of the beautiful things that are happening when people break their addiction to sugar and carbs and processed food. And they get their brains back, they get their bodies back, they get their lives back. And they're just so excited that they can't wait to tell. And so I informed everyone that I would be recording these meetings, and I encouraged them that if they wanted to remain anonymous, that they can turn the camera off. But a lot of people they want to share. They want to share what has happened to them, and they're so excited about their new life. And then I also open it up for questions. If people are still struggling and they're still on this journey, that they can come and ask questions. But if you need more individualized care than just in a group like this, feel free to email me at innerclaritysystem@gmail.com, and I'll walk you through what it looks like to work with me one-on-one. All right, thanks. I hope you enjoy the group. Hello, happy Saturday. We are at our another Saturday food support group. Today we are just going to navigate the conversation and see where it leads us. Allison is going to start off. Go ahead, Allison.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to give an update. Been doing this for a couple weeks with the carnivore diet, and I have some good news and bad news. My cravings are gone. Like, I have 0 cravings.
Wow.
Which is a huge thing because of like a sugar addiction I've had my whole life. Sugar and carb addiction. I got tested for that last year with the sugar test. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
No, where is that through your
Bitten
doctor?
Johnson? No, with Bitten Johnson online. She's created this sugar evaluation for people, and I worked with a coach, but at the same time, I wasn't ready to deal with it. So I think I stayed sober for like 2 months, and then I just lost it. So now I'm realizing I do have a problem. So I'm trying again. And so that's the good news. And I'm still going through withdrawals as far as 0 carbs. I'm exhausted mentally, physically, emotionally. And the other thing is I just got diagnosed. I was having nerve problems. I think I shared that on one of the first meetings.
Yeah.
And it turns out that I have carpal tunnel in my hands. I think because I'm on my phone a lot, and then I'm lifting. I have young kids, and I'm constantly, like, I'm at home, I'm at home, and I'm constantly cooking and just doing, with your hands. And he said it was moderate. And he's going to try me. He's like an alternative homeopathic kind of, he's been doing acupuncture on me, but then he does all the stuff first before, and then if you absolutely need surgery, he will recommend that. But I really like this guy. He's like a Chinese medicine person. So he has done acupuncture, but it's only improved about 10%. But he did say I have moderate, and it's just getting worse, the pain in my hands and me being able to actually like bend my fingers sometimes. And at night, it's horrific. I basically can't sleep. So every hour or 2 hours, I wake up because my hands lock. And I'm like kind of desperate. I'm just hoping that, I've tried all the diets, so, and I'm doing everything possible, chiropractor, just lifestyle. I have a very stressful life. 2 kids with special needs, and I have addiction with my husband. He's overcoming that and trying. So it's, it's very stressful, but the only thing that's giving me hope is hearing people's stories and knowing that it might be a long journey, but I'm willing to, like, I can't be crippled at 44 years old.
No.
Like your story and people's here, I kind of feel like it's like a secret in my life because my husband, he's doing his own thing. He has this complete opposite of, he believes in the old science. And so it does feel isolating, like just coming to these meetings. It's like, okay, I want to get my support, but then yet, you know, nobody out there is doing this. It's kind of like, so he did listen to me. He kind of lets me do my own thing, which I'm grateful for. But there's just not that full support. Like, yes, let's do this together. That kind of thing, that verbal.
Yeah.
Because he has his own health issues, unfortunately, and he's dealing with it with a conventional doctor and medicines and all that. So, but I feel very passionate, and I've, for most of my last decade, I've gone on this health journey of just food, and I come from a background with eating disorders, so I've realized how much malnourishment of under eating to be a certain size I've had. And now I'm like, for some reason, there's been a switch this last year. I worked with a functional medicine, like nutritionist and doctor, and she ran a bunch of labs, and something just switched. Like, wow, I want to feel my body. I want to be strong as I'm getting older for my kids, I want to have a thriving, healthy life. And so this last year I put on weight. I needed weight for my body. And so I'm really doing well with that. But I think carnivore hopefully will even improve, hopefully my mind, the depression, anxiety, and then also the deprivation mindset I had with food, and from the decades I had of the anorexia. But I'm just feeling hopeful. I know I'm in the beginning stages, but yeah, I just want relief from, especially with my hands, it's really scary to not feel your hands, several times a night, and wake up and I have to shake them and run them under hot water or cold water, or whatever, so.
It's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. And so what are you said that you're not experiencing the cravings and stuff right now. What are you eating? You said it's been 2 weeks? No.
Yeah, I wrote down the date, but basically, yeah, it's been over 2 weeks, between 2 and 3 weeks. And I just started with meat, just steaks, ground beef, eggs, and butter. And so and then water. I gave up my caffeine, which I have a caffeine addiction, and dairy. That gives me all cravings, because if I have caffeine, then I dunk the dairy in it, then it makes me not hungry for half the day.
Yes.
Then I don't eat, and it reminds me of my anorexia days. So for me and my story, I just have to get rid of that. And I know that, and I've tried that several times, but yeah, so I've been experimenting with just those things, and eating like about twice a day. But I'm realizing for me, I'm not hungry, but I do need to get a certain amount of, that's the challenge for me, like getting, even if I'm not so-called hungry and I've already had a meal, I still need to get enough to grow and keep my muscles and hopefully heal all my other health conditions. So eating a good solid 2 meals and getting enough fat and protein. Started to work with a coach, so she's helping me to figure out like proportions as far as like for my body weight.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I want to encourage you though. I just had somebody reach out to me recently about arthritis, and I knew that I didn't have the words to express to her that if you stay this course with animal meat and animal fat, it's going to resolve that. And I found a video from Ken Berry. And so all you have to do is go into YouTube and enter arthritis Ken Berry. And my favorite thing that he says in this video, is that people think that they're overusing their hands, that they've been in a factory.
That's what I've believed.
It's not true. It's absolutely not true. He said, I have had patients who worked in factories for years, and they're like, oh, well, it's just that I overused my hands. It's just that I overdid this or overdid that. It's
Okay.
not the truth. It is absolutely the inflammation from sugar and from carbs. And
Mhm.
when you reduce that inflammation from the sugar and the carbs, the joints actually start to rebuild that gelatin or whatever that stuff.
Collagen and all that stuff.
He explains it perfectly.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. I was trying to share that exact same thing with my husband, and he was looking at me like, okay, well, good luck, kind of, you know. But I also forgot to tell you, I have arthritis in my neck too. It runs in our family, but I refuse to believe that. And I have a doctor that believes that I can reverse that too. So
Awesome. Awesome. That's incredible. I'm so glad that you have these doctors, that you have this resources. And I am stupid excited that you have no cravings. Like that is miraculous.
yeah, even last year I was on keto, and I was thinking that that was the diet that's going to help me not have cravings and it wouldn't, because I was just like, yeah, it was really weird. And I have to have some things in the house too, unfortunately, for my kids
Yeah.
and my husband, because they're not on this. But I have to really come here and get support and stuff and really be uber strong, because I refuse to like let that be an excuse to how I feel and my goals, you know, like I have to really change my mindset, you know.
Yeah. And like you said, you're not going to be crippled in your 40s. Like you have so much life to live, you know?
I do.
Um,
And my
so
kids are younger. I've had them later in life, so I actually couldn't have kids, so we adopted. And so I know I want to be around and older, but still, you know, functioning and
yeah, absolutely. And I love that you're, coming to these meetings and that you're here. Because I mean, that's why I have these. So that even if can't have these conversations with those in your immediate environment, that you can have these conversations here in a safe place
yeah, thank you.
to talk about that. Awesome. Well, keep us updated, Allison.
I will.
I am so excited to hear. And if you get a chance, go look up arthritis
I
Kenberry.
will. Yes, right after this, I will.
Okay, awesome.
Thanks.
I don't think it's very long. I think it was just like, 10
Yeah,
or
I've been
15
following
minutes.
him for a couple years. I love his lives that I watch. And so
Yeah, he's amazing. Amazing.
thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Allison. Becky, you
Mhm.
have your hand raised. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have some interesting news to report. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Dr. Robert Cyrus. He's a bariatric
Yes.
doctor.
Yes.
He goes by the handle the carb addiction doctor.
Yes.
So one of the gentlemen that I met, I think through Brett Lloyd, he calls himself the bipolar carnivore. He came and spoke on your show, on your YouTube or whatever.
He's the thankful carnivore.
Brett's the thankful carnivore, but he introduced me to the bipolar carnivore,
Ron.
who is Ron, and he spoke and came just one time to tell his story.
Yes.
So I've a few times, and he referred me to Dr. Cyrus because, as you know, I had bariatric surgery 11 years ago, and I had a malabsorption surgery as well as a restrictive surgery. So my intestines are rerouted, the duodenum is rerouted, so I malabsorb a lot. So as I've been learning to, and basically their whole premise of the surgery is low fat.
Yes, go ahead.
So they want you to have, I have 80%, well, at the time of surgery, then your body adjusts. The malabsorption was 80% of the fat that I eat, 30% and 30% of the protein and carbs that I eat get malabsorbed. So, you're pooping it out. And so as I tried to, so basically as I lost my weight from 304 to 135, I was eating pretty much a lot of protein. They say a lot of protein first, vegetables and everything like that second. So they're high in the protein, but they want you to go low fat and lean. So as I'm learning more from you and other people for bipolar and Parkinson's, which I have, I need a higher fat, right? And so when I eat higher fat, I get really chronic, horrible, chronic diarrhea, which then flushes out all my nutrition. And I have lost weight. When I started the carnivore diet and the keto carnivore kind of phasing in, I've never been 100% strict, but more, more diligent. I had regained up to 190 and now I'm about 125. So I'm losing weight, but part of that is because I'm not eating hardly. But I have told you I have still the addiction problem. So sometimes I do, which causes more diarrhea if I eat sugar or carbs. But then if I eat fat, then that really causes a lot of diarrhea too. So that's kind of the basis of the background. So I saw Dr. Cyrus. And I didn't see him because he's in Florida and I'm in California, but I had a Zoom call. My husband and I had a Zoom call with him, and he wants me to reverse the duodenal switch, which would reattach I can't change my stomach because that's already made smaller, but over 11 years, it's stretched out. So I can eat a pretty fair, good volume. But at first you could only eat like a few tablespoons. I can eat like probably regularly, but they would reattach my intestines so that they're pretty much normal. Probably not like 100% normal absorption, but a lot higher absorption. And so Ron was saying it's kind of like a bullet that you got to, you got a wound there, you got to fix the wound, and you can't, worry about all the micros and macros right now. You got to get the wound fixed. Dr. Cyrus, when he saw me on video, he's like, yeah, you have no muscle tone. Your skin is like over your bones. You're too thin. He looked at my blood work, and this is what's so comical and upsetting and like, what? So I have a new pair. So Dr. Cyrus looked at all my bariatric blood work, which is like 17 bottles of blood that show all your vitamins and minerals. And then my annual blood work that everybody might get, which is a lipid panel and hemoglobin A1C and, your standard stuff, CBC blood counts. He thought I had global systemic malnutrition and that I'm dying. It's what he said, which is like, whoa. But my primary care doctor, who I had to order all the tests, but I gave him what I wanted. Then my original surgeon, who still believes in the low-fat diet, he gave me the list. I do it every year. I'm very diligent about doing my blood work. And my primary care doctor said, no, you're fine. You're not malnourished at all. And then Dr. Cyrus says, no, you're dying. And so I'm like, well, how could they be so different in how they interpret the blood work? So it's a little upsetting. But at the same time, I tend to believe that, like Dr. Barry and all these other doctors that we're listening to are saying that the blood work is not really properly done or measuring the real nature of your health. So anyway, I'm trying to decide what to do. I would probably get the surgery done in August or September, depending on the schedule. I would travel from San Jose to Florida and stay maybe a week or 2 weeks, depending on how things go. Probably an open-ended ticket, And so does that make sense that if I'm malabsorbing the fat, that can be increasing the bipolar? Because the first time I really had a bipolar mania where I really was kind of out of my mind was the month after I had weight loss surgery. And my husband wrote in the doctor's notes, I don't think my wife is getting any nourishment to her brain. So I think it was like such a shock to my system. So anyway, I'm emotional because I am still bipolar. But I don't know. What do you think, you guys? What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think you're in good hands with Dr. Cyrus. And I am so thankful, Becky, that you, like Nate said last week, if you stop looking, you're not going to find the answer. And so I love that you didn't stop looking and you're finding the answers. And it really, I'm really sad that this happened to you, but I'm so grateful for your story, that those people who are on the fence on getting that surgery can know that there are some pretty severe complications with that. And I'm so grateful that you can get it reversed. What a blessing.
I am too. And yesterday was my birthday. I'm 65 now.
Happy birthday.
I feel really young. Like everybody thinks like, how do you feel in your brain? I feel like I'm 22 in my brain, but then my body doesn't do everything that I'd like it to do. And because of that, I asked my original surgeon, who's Dr. Rabkin in San Francisco 5 years ago, about getting it reversed. And I was very skeptical about getting it. It took me about 2 years to decide to do the surgery. And then my support group said, they're just trying to scare you. Just here, sign here, do it, do it, do it. And so everybody kept saying, oh, it's the best thing I ever did in my life. But then I'm like, it just doesn't make sense to me, you know, but I thought, well, I've got to do something. I didn't want to be a diabetic. So anyway, the point is that Dr. Rabkin, my original surgeon, said, oh, well, I don't recommend the reversal. It's extremely dangerous because you have scar tissue. It's about 5 years ago. He goes, my portion is $40,000. Kaiser will not pay for it. No insurance will pay for this. And then you have hospital and anesthesia. So let's just work on trying to make sure your blood work is good. And so now I'm like, okay, things have gotten worse because I didn't really have the Parkinson's problems 5 years ago. I just had other problems. And so then when I talked to Dr. Cyrus, he goes, no, I take Medicare. It should be covered 100%.
Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing.
But I do have to say is I just need a little bit more reassurance about Dr. Cyrus because I am a little manic about this. And when I called his office, his secretary was very not knowing a lot of the answers to my questions about, well, different questions about preparing for pre-op and getting blood work to the doctor and follow up. And she goes, I don't know. And so I'm like, well, how am I supposed to know then? And then, so I called her back a couple times to check. I said, well, I'll check with my insurance. I kept calling her back. And so she said, this lady's driving me crazy. She keeps calling and asking questions I don't have any answers to. She's harassing me. So then he got on the phone and I thought he was this was after he agreed to do the surgery. And he said, I thought he was going to say, what are your questions? I'll help you figure it out. Or she said, well, you could delay your surgery and book another hour session with him, but it would be like a 3 months delay. I'm like, I just have questions because I didn't know he was going to talk about reversal at my appointment. I just thought he was going to talk about balancing my diet. So he got on the phone and he says, you're harassing my secretary. I don't have time to answer every question you have. I have thousands of patients. Stop calling my patient. Quit calling my secretary and asking her questions. But he didn't say, well, text me and answer my question. So I'm like, whoa, he was so abrupt and I don't know. And I'm like, am I going to get the help if I have a problem? You know, I'm just a little scared about that. So Ron thought he was an excellent doctor. The reviews say he's brilliant. Other people said he was quite rude, but that doesn't mean he's not brilliant. He might just have like.
Well, you know, and I think we need to understand why we go to people. Like, for instance, Sean Baker. Like, we don't go to Sean Baker for his awesome people skills. You know, we don't go to some people for how they're going to like hold our hand and like talk us through things. And I think we expect them to be this all around like perfect human being. And what we go to them is for their specialty. And so, yes, your answers need to be, your questions need to be answered. I 100% believe that. But I also recognize that maybe, you know, you can find your questions to your answers to those questions in a different way. And just because he's a jerk doesn't mean that he's not brilliant, doesn't mean that he is not absolutely accurately reading your blood work and able to do this perfect surgery. So the
surgery was very easy. He did it laparoscopically. He said over 100 of them, and you'll probably go home the next day. But because I'm out of the area, he wants me to stick around for, you know, a week to make sure everything's good. I'm like, yeah, I could hang out in Florida for a week. So yeah, he was very nice to my husband and I on the Zoom call. And we're like, should we just sign up right now? And he goes, no, think about it. Call my secretary back. And then when I called her, I was used to my other surgeon who has like a coordinator that coordinates everything, that's kind of like a mother hen. So I was asking this girl questions, and she's like a secretary, like a receptionist. So she was frustrated. And then I'm frustrated because like she kept just saying, well, you want to book another appointment? Well, when is that? Like in 3 months, because he's on vacation. I'm like, no, I don't want to wait 3 months to ask a question, about something I want to have done. So I think, yeah, I just was like asking the wrong person the wrong question.
And I think another thing that we don't realize being mentally ill is that not everybody is equipped to deal with mentally ill people. And so we have these, these anxieties and these worries and these excessive questions that typical people don't have. And so they're used to probably the typical patient. They're not used to the mentally ill patient who is asking all of these questions and needing all of these answers like right now and having all of these anxieties. And so, yes, I do think that your questions need to be answered, but I don't think that just because his secretary was not able to handle your interaction and he was not able to handle your interaction doesn't mean that he's not going to perform an excellent surgery and have the right answers for you. So I think it's comparing apples and oranges.
I appreciate you saying that, Emily, very much. Because I really wanted to hire him, but then I'm like, what if he just tells me to shut up when I ask a question, or if I have a problem and he doesn't want to listen to my problem, and then he diagnoses it wrong,
Well,
so, yeah.
and because if he was, I don't know, if he was a counselor, then yeah, I would be like, find another counselor. Oh my gosh, that guy's a jerk. But if we're looking at his skills as a surgeon and his skills as a doctor to be able to assess your blood work, then he knows his stuff. I mean, half of the conversations I've seen him have online are over my head. So I know that he's a brilliant guy.
I appreciate that. And so the basic premise of being able to absorb more fat to heal my body is the correct premise. That's what I feel is true. That's what he feels is true. Well, all nutrition, not just fat, but all of them. But see, with the premise of the DS is that fat is bad and saturated fat you want out of your diet. So it's like the whole science that we don't even believe in.
Yeah. And I want to thank you so much for sharing your story, because there are so many people in this space that keep thinking, oh, I'm just going to have this surgery. I'm just going to have this surgery and then it's all going to be okay. And they don't understand the gamble that they're doing with gambling with the onset of bipolar disorder, the onset of malabsorption, the onset of Parkinson's disease. Like, I hate that this happened to you, but I'm so grateful that you're sharing your story so that you can prevent other people from hopefully getting this really dangerous surgery.
Yeah, and other people I've talked to that are like 20 years out or even 10 or 15 years out, I'm 11. They'll say, oh, it's the best. Everybody has this little phrase, it's the best thing I ever did. And I'm like, really? I go, how are you feeling? Oh, I have osteoporosis and I've broken 2 bones and I've had a stroke. And I'm like, that's because you're not absorbing your nutrition properly.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Size 8, It's like,
yeah. It's not just about the scale. Thank you.
Emily. Have a turn.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Becky. I really appreciate it. And keep us updated.
Love you guys. Thank you.
Oh, I love you too. Shelly, go ahead.
Hey, Emily, I just wanted to let Becky know it's different, but recently I'm 8 months post, I had breast implants removed, and I'm a super anxious person. And I made the decision to travel 18 hours away to have the surgery by another surgeon, and all the anxiety got worse. And I finally had to tell his secretary, the phone calls back and forth, I just basically told her my anxiety is super high. I need you to understand that and answer my questions so I can make it from Kentucky to Florida in one piece. But once I got down there and had the surgery, it was no regrets. And it's to your point earlier, I was going to him because he's one of the best in the country to do a breast explant. And I could not find anyone locally that made me feel as comfortable as far as his skill level. And some of his office staff after that point weren't the best, but I just kept focusing on I'm traveling 19 hours because of his skill, and that's only going to help my health. Not because his office staff is polite. And it was very unnerving, very anxious. I cried many times, but once I got that out with his secretary, not that it helped tremendously, but I just felt like I stood up for myself. So I just wanted to confirm what you said. You're going for the skill of the surgeon, not necessarily their bedside manner, not that they shouldn't have a good bedside manner, but at the end of the day, it's their skill that matters.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And to not throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yes, definitely. Because my second interaction, I'm in healthcare. And so I have an expectation because I know how we treat our patients. And the second interaction, they got my name wrong. They had the wrong part of the procedure was wrong. Some of my medical history, I mean, it was just one thing after another. I was like, these people are a joke. But my husband said, you've been to 4 doctors and that's the first time I've seen you smile is after you had your consult with him. Like you knew you found your person to make sure he got everything out of your body. And so we talked through that, and like I said, it made all the difference.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that experience. Becky, you wanted to say something? You're on mute.
Emily, right? Can you talk? I had breast implants after my surgery, after my weight loss, because I just lost all breast tissue. So I have implants as well. They're gummy bears. And can you tell me a little bit about why you got yours out, what symptoms you had, and why you chose to do that? I've thought a little bit about that too, but I don't know if my problems are related to the breast implants or just the malnutrition.
So 2 years ago, I had some unexplainable, or I had some neck pain, and I'm a runner and fairly healthy. Thought I was eating a healthy diet. Had this neck pain. I went through some injections. And at that point, one of my doctors said, you ever thought about your breast implants that could be causing inflammation? And I was like, okay. So I called my plastic surgeon that put them in. And he was like, there is no way that has anything to do with that. You don't have the implants, because about that time there was a recall on the textured implants. I didn't have those. I've had mine since 2007. So I went on with life. And then a year and a half ago, I started having skin issues. I was unable to tolerate heat. I started having food insensitivities. I went and saw a GI doctor, saw a dermatologist, topicals, medications. Then I started doing more research in breast implants, and breast implants kept coming up, breast implants. And then I started carnivore 8 months ago. I didn't see any real difference in my skin issues or my insensitivities. I'm working with Danny Conway.
Yes.
And I had heard her story about having her breast implants removed. So I reached out to her, and talking with her, that was kind of my final thing, that your breast implant, Shelley, can have something to do with this. And I was ashamed that I had them done to start with, because I had gotten a divorce and I was trying to be this person that my ex-husband wanted me to be, even after I got divorced from him, and felt like I needed to look a little bit better. I mean, I'm 5'8" and 135 pounds, but I knew after I had them that it wasn't me. So I didn't tell people that I had them. I didn't go extremely large, but it was out of vanity that I had it done. So it was hard. Again, the anxiety of what are people going to think? What's going to make a difference in how I look? And then I was having still, all the skin issues on my face. So that after I talked to Danny and I just kept doing research, breast implant illness group on Facebook. It's a wonderful group. I encourage you to get on there if it's something you want to find more about now. I know you have a lot going on, but the post and the ladies and the moderators were super helpful. The most discouraging thing was going to the different doctors and having them tell me that my symptoms were in my head, even my anxiety. I read how much anxiety can have to do with breast implants. I never really had anxiety until in the last 5 years. But the doctors would tell me it was in my head, and breast implant illness is not a real thing. And your body puts capsules around your implants and how important it is to get those out. And the doctor said, that doesn't matter. You just take your implants out. Then I had, the few people I did confide in, I had one of them ask me, why wouldn't you have something put back in? Your body's going to look deformed. It was like, okay, what about my health?
Seriously.
So I will tell you, I'm 8 weeks out. I love my chest. It's not perfect. I have a lot of scars, but those scars are going to tell a story. I'm noticing some changes in my I can tolerate heat a little bit more right now. I was able to add some eggs back in. I'm able to tolerate butter now. I'm able to tolerate some broth. And I know it's probably a combination of my implants coming out and then the work that Danny's been doing with me. I've been working with her now for 6 months, and it's a slow process. And I have to remind myself, this didn't happen. My running has had to take a back seat. I would run 30 to 40 miles a week, and I just started back, and I'm up, running 12 miles a week. I backed off my weightlifting. But I know it's all going to help. And it was just my gut told me, the more I tried to push away that it wasn't my breast implants, my gut kept telling me, Shelly, you've never been happy with them. It's time for them to come out. You've got to be true to yourself and get them out, regardless of what their opinion, what they think, any of that stuff. And I will tell you, I've seen a lot of posts about those gummy implants. I didn't have those. I just had smooth saline with the silicone shell. But I have pictures. The breast implants were yellowed. They weren't clear. I had pain. So my neck pain and my arm pain that they said was from my neck, when he got in there, the breast implant had entrapped 2 nerves that run from your neck through your armpit down your arm. So the side that I had the most trouble with my neck pain that they told me was all from my neck, it was the breast implant that had 2 nerves impinged because it had moved. It basically migrated to my armpit.
Oh my goodness.
But and I had a CT scan done, and it was kind of like I wanted to go back to the plastic surgeon and say, I told you so. But the CT scan even showed that I had degenerative changes in both of my axillas, which is your armpits. And I told him that's where my pain and my discomfort, it was in my armpits. I felt like somebody had a knife in there just jabbing me. But he told me it had nothing to do with my breast implants, but sure enough, it did. And so I would definitely, based on everything I've read, and if you get into that Facebook group, the women that are in there and some of their stories are amazing. I'm thankful. My story is nothing compared to some of those ladies. I have all the admiration, but I'm thankful I found this way. I'm having a lot of blood sugar dysregulation too, that I've never had issues with. My A1C went from 4.9 and 5. The latest check was 5.9. So it just, since starting carnivore, it's went up. It was 5.4, now it's 5.9. But Danny's, telling me it's just part of my body recovering. But Emily, you said something a few meetings ago about it's knowing, like you knew when you were in the hospital that you were doing the right thing. Like it was a knowing. And
Yeah.
that stuck with me, because that's exactly how I feel. I know between my breast implants coming out and eating this way, I know I'm in the right way, and the good Lord's guiding my steps.
Absolutely. And you're in good hands with Danny. You're
Yeah.
in good hands with Danny.
Yep. She's been great.
Awesome. Well, Becky, you are muted, because I had to mute it because there were airplanes going over.
Could Shelley post the doctor and the carnivore group and then Danny Conway's name so I can see it written and might forget it
Yep, I sure will.
so
Okay.
much. Glad you're doing better.
Yeah, I am too.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Never know where these conversations are going to lead, but I love it. So does anybody have any update that they want to share, or a question? We've got probably about 15 more minutes. And Jackie, I see that you're pretty busy doing some pickleball or something. Mari, yeah, you want to just something?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, go ahead. Oh, Mari, you're on
I
mute.
was gonna, yeah, no, I can go real quick. No, I'm grateful for you. It's 21 days today.
Yay.
Fat, the way you do your fat, I love it. I talk about you all over Rivera every single day. Like me and Kevin both bring you up quite often, and it's just really good. And and our brains play tricks on us, and I'm not 100% at all on this thing. I definitely don't digest fat, but yet I don't know where else to go right now. So I've been praying about it, and I found the GAPS lady, Natasha, she's actually come out with a book in 2020 about no plant GAPS diet. So
awesome.
It's confirmation, because if who's, she just keeps whittling down the plants, and she even speaks loudly that no plants are needed, to live. Whereas, and high fat, she's like, but you can't live on just protein, the beef of the protein of the animal, what are they called? The muscle. Thank you. Yeah. She can't, so anyway, I'm babbling. I don't know all the answers. My brain goes to thinking I don't need this, or I don't need that, or I can disconnect from this channel or that, or Rivera, but I just keep coming, because 21 days of high fat carnivore, I'm in therapeutic ketosis, and praying about the rest. And it's all because of you and your conversation you had with me when I signed up for your, what you offer.
The clarity call.
Yeah, for so little, and so grateful. And I'm just going to try to keep coming, and we will see how I progress. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. So you absolutely have to keep me updated, because I really want to hear how this goes for you. And I'm just so grateful that you've been able to do it for 21 days. That's amazing.
It really is amazing. I met you 2.5 years ago, and I was eating potatoes and steak every day for at least a year. I've eaten a ribeye a day for 2.5 years, but I put some vegetables in, and so who knows, but I'm definitely feeling like I'm on a better track now.
And just for other people that don't know you, your diagnosis is
multiple sclerosis, and it's primary progressive, and I'm 52, and I look healthy, but the symptoms are such that, like, I've just been carrying my life down, basically. Like, so I'm still highly productive, but as you can see, I put a bed in my living room. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. But, and I'm not even ready to speak to any improvements, but I know they're there. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's kind of that knowing that you're on the right track.
Yeah. So it's pretty significant. It's pretty significant. And I know I'm on the right track. Whether I need extra, right now, all I'm doing is carnivore. I'm doing no supplements. I'm doing no antiparasitics. I'm doing nothing else, just carnivore. and eating about the amount that you eat, and eating it much more rare, and definitely the fat in the freezer. It's like popsicles. It's wonderful.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, and honestly, I really believe that it's a process, because I started eating this way February of 2019. My last MS symptom was May of 2019. So it takes a minute. It takes a minute for your body to heal, and that high fat is really going to help so much. So keep us updated for sure. Awesome. Thanks, Mari. Jackie, were you trying to say something? I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no, it's okay. I kind of joined late and somebody was talking about hands. And I just wanted to share that that is something that I had before carnivore. And I was doing NSNG, which is no sugar, no grain, for 2+ years before carnivore. And I went to doctors. I mean, I went to different people trying to find out, why do I have these? And I always called them my fat hands. I'd wake up in the morning and they were so stiff and just, I couldn't bend them. I had to really work at being able to just bend my fingers and my hands. And one doctor said, oh, it's carpal tunnel, both hands simultaneously. And I couldn't understand, why is this all of a sudden happening? And when I went carnivore, that went away, just magically went away. It was inflammation. It wasn't any structural problem with my hands whatsoever. And I was so shocked at that, because I struggled with it for quite a long time, like 6-7 months. And it really, I think, had to do with seed oils. So I was still eating, even on no sugar, no grain, I was eating things that contain seed oils. And I think seed oils do not get along with me whatsoever. And I know other things cause inflammation, but I think that was the big one. Huge. So just wanted to share that. Yeah, I get it with the hands. Like, you're a completely normal person with these hands. What's wrong with my hands? And I also had very inflamed eyelids. They were droopy. I actually thought about maybe getting surgery on my eyelids. So I don't know if you can see my eyelids, but they're okay. This one still has a little droop to it, but I think it'll get better and better as time goes. My neck, I thought about getting surgery on my neck, all these surgeries, because I was starting to look like a hot mess. And I didn't understand. I go, I guess this is what old age does to you. But my neck was like, I was embarrassed by my neck. And it's tightening up. Not great, but it's tightening up. I'm going to be 60 this week, so it's going to be,
birthday.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. I think the 60s are going to be way better than the 50s, because the 50s is where I found out I'm getting old and I don't know what to do about it. And then this miracle thing happened, which is called carnivore. So it's just been wonderful awesome. Ever since. All the energy, all the great, everything about it. So
Allison asked in the chat, how long after going carnivore did your hands get better?
It was probably 6 months. I mean, it was a gradual thing. It wasn't like, Eureka, you're eating ribeyes, you're doing good now. No, I think I had to get rid of the toxins in my body, and that takes time. So just all I can say is keep going. Just keep giving your body the building blocks it needs, and it will resolve some of those issues. Because that's the way I feel this is going. It would be great if I could improve my eyesight too. I'm blind as a bat I have monovision contacts. I can't see far or near without them. So I always wish and hope that will get better, because up until 35, 36 years old, perfect vision, perfect. Then old age hit and no longer perfect vision. And now I can't see anything. It's just, it's pretty bad how blind I am.
Wouldn't that be so cool if it got better?
It would.
I've heard it. I've heard other carnivores say that their vision improved.
I pray about it.
Yes.
And I feel bad for my son he's 33. I'm going, oh, he's on the brink and he has perfect vision. And I'm like, you don't know what's about to happen to your body. Things will start breaking down, and he is not carnivore. He eats all the bad stuff. So some people you can't really change, you know.
Yeah.
For sure my parents won't listen. So I just have to keep going and being healthy.
And I loved your latest line dancing video.
Oh.
That was so cute.
This is what I'm doing when I turn 60. I'm going dancing with 75 and 80-year-olds.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
It was so fun. I really had a good time. I'm going to go again. So I really wanted to check out the senior center for my mother, but I think I'm going to keep going. So
that's awesome. Thank you so much, Jackie.
Oh, you're welcome. I love everything you do, Emily.
Thanks. All right. Anybody else have anything that they want to add? Either an update or a question? No. All right. Well, I thank you guys so much. Oh, yes, Becky.
Does Jackie want to talk about her meetup?
Oh, yeah, Jackie, go ahead. Talk about your meetup.
Yeah, so I'm in Washington State, right in the middle of Washington State.
There's Scott. Hi, Scott.
And you see Scott.
Yeah.
Like his mohawk. Show the side view. That's what happens when you turn 60. You do weird stuff. Anyway, not that you're weird, honey. You're not weird.
Yes, I am.
But anyway, we're going to, Allison, yes, come to my meetup. It's July 30th. It's going to be here at my house. I'll be putting out more information about it very soon. And our planning group is planning. But so we had that Bellevue meetup. And although the food was excellent, all these people came, it was wonderful. There was no time to just spend and sit and talk. And so this is going to be a very different kind of meetup. It's all about talking and hanging out. We're just going to hang out on my deck. And hopefully it'll be nice weather. It usually is that time of year. And we're going to have 2 briskets, I think. It's going to be surf and turf. Lots of meat here. There's no cost. I just want you to come. Bring a steak if you want to grill on one of our 3 grills that we have. And just plan to just hang out with us and swim. Bring a swimsuit. We have a hot tub, swim pool, and it's going to be fun. It's just for anybody who can get here. In the Pacific Northwest, July 30th. And I don't know what time yet. We don't have those details quite yet, but it's coming along.
So the best way for somebody to get a hold of you is through Instagram, right?
Yeah, just DM me on Instagram. It's I am Jackie Jam. That's my Instagram handle. And I also have a Facebook page that's all about my health journey, and that's called I am Jackie Jam. So you can reach me any one of those ways. That'll be fine. But yeah, plan to come on.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. I'm so glad that you guys have those. And I live vicariously through your posts and pictures. And man, I really felt like I was the one in Illinois. That was awesome.
Yeah. Oh, that was so fun. That was just a blast and lots of hanging out time. That's the way to do it. And they had it at their house. So amazing. Trust me, I do not have my own espresso machine maker, and I don't have, sparkling water on tap like they do, but looking on, when I remodel my kitchen, maybe.
There you go. Awesome. Thank you, Jackie. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and end this meeting. Thank you guys so much for coming. And I know that it just feels like we're just talking to each other, but there are hundreds of people that watch these replays, and it's changing lives. It is really changing lives. So I thank you guys so much for being so brave and transparent with your stories, because you're helping encourage other people. So thanks for coming. I'll see you guys next week. Bye. Hey, I hope you enjoyed the group. There is always so much beauty in being transparent and in really recognizing that we're all not alone on this journey. And so if you want to, feel free to join the Saturday support groups. They're every Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. And if you need more individualized care, then reach out to me and email me at innerclaritysystem@gmail.com. And I would love to walk through and show you what it looks like to work with me one-on-one.